Welcome to week 4 of Geology and Our Environment. This week we're looking at energy. What resources do we have? How do we extract them? How do we use them? And how does it impact us and our environment? So by the end of the week, you should be able to describe energy resources that we use and connect them with the benefits and consequences of their use. And both of these are substantial. We benefit greatly from the use of our energy resources, but there are also big consequences for their use, and we'll look at those. You may have heard a lot about things being renewable and non-renewable when we're talking about energy. And as we look at that, it's important to note what the source of the energy is, but also how we capture it, harness it, and transmit it. Because in doing so, that process may not be renewable. We may be using materials that are not renewable in that manner. So ultimately, nuclear energy is non-renewable, all the way over to the highly renewable solar energy, wind energy, water energy. The chapter in your book describing this is very nice, so I won't go into great depth with this. I want you to look at each of these and learn them. And I want you to pay attention not just to the energy source itself, but what materials are required to capture this energy. How sustainable are those materials? Where are they mined? How much of them do we have? How long does if we have a solar panel, how long does that solar panel last before it needs to be replaced? What rare earth elements might be used in a wind collector? Okay, so what materials go into this is actually quite a big deal, and it determines how sustainable these are in the long run and what kind of an energy plan we need to be creating. All right, so think about this as you do it. It's not just the energy itself, it's how we capture and transmit it. And what are we going to be doing this week? Well, we are, again, working towards our final project, and we'll talk about that, but we're also really starting to look at some of the broader impact of our choices. Your discussion board this week and in week 5 will focus on applying what you've learned throughout the course and helping us look at the choices that we make and what global impacts those choices have. Okay, so first let's talk about the final project. You have now made fact sheets 1 through 3. Good job. You've done discussion boards on geologic dangers and environmental problems. So you've collected quite a lot of stuff for your area characterization and your comparison sections. You've written your field log issue papers 1 and 2, and you're now plugging it all into your field log template. Excellent. We're on the right track. This week, you write your fact sheet 4. So you are looking at electricity generation and consumption in your state. Here's a key thing that people tend to confuse. Energy doesn't necessarily just mean electricity, right? So we have the energy that powers our vehicles. For most of us, that's not electricity. That's combusting something right there in our car, and the combustion of that releasing energy that powers us forward. Okay, so decouple the energy term from electricity. They're related, but electricity isn't the only way to have power. So homes may also burn something right there in the home. They may burn propane, they may burn natural gas right in the home. There may be a wood-burning stove. Each of those would generate heat. Okay, so keep that in mind when you hear about energy. Or a big portion of our energy in the country goes into transportation, and that's usually the gasoline that we put in our vehicles, okay? So we often have power plants that use these energies, either the coal, gas, wind, solar, whatever, to generate electricity, and then the electricity is transmitted to our homes, and we use that to power our lights and many other things. So in this fact sheet for week 4, you are focusing on the electricity generation. So get that straight, the electricity generation and consumption in your state. And in your fact sheet write-up, I walk you through going to the government website, the Energy Information Agency, And that walks you through exactly how you're going to find this information for your state. You'll look at where it's generated near you. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's the electricity that gets to you, but that's what's generated near you. And then you'll look at the greatest producers of electricity for your state. So what types of power generate the electricity for your state? And then you guys will compare that. That's the beauty of being able to share this information. And you're also going to do your last field log issue paper. Yay! So good job on keeping track of all of this. You will be turning this in this week. And then the broader impacts. So for your discussion board, you're looking at your electricity, your choices. And you've got two different prompts that you could write on. For one, you could be looking at how do you think we should be generating electricity and how do you think we shouldn't be. On the other one, you can look at the idea that if you generate electricity in a power station, you burn a fossil fuel, for example, and generate electricity and then transmit it to your home, by the time it gets to your home, what you use in your home is only 1/3 of the energy that was actually originally there. So if the coal was burned or the gas was burned, only 1/3 of the energy in that coal or gas is what you are using in your home as electricity. Your book really talks you through this well, so read it carefully, and then you may choose to write about what we can do to reduce our electricity use, whether it's to reduce our consumption or find other ways of using energy in our home. That's up to you. However you think we should do it, we would like to hear. So this is really to get you thinking as you move forward from this course about your own choices and the impacts of your choices and what you may be thinking for your career and for your own life. Okay, happy hunting and happy writing. Have a great week.